All right, we're here with Aaron Watson. Aaron, new song, Crash Landing, love it. But Wes and I were talking kind of before we kind of jumped on here. You put out music like crazy, which I love because you kind of don't have anybody above you kind of telling you when or when not to put out music. So your fans are always getting music. Do you ever rest, or is it just, are you one of these guys that's like on to the next one, on to the next album? Because I love it as a fan. It's like you never know when you're going to get something new.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, being a music lover, one thing that's frustrating is when you're a fan of an artist and you have to wait for forever to get music. And I don't want to dog other artists. I mean, I know a lot of artists are, they're signed to major labels, and although they will tell you that they have full creative control, they don't. And they don't have the opportunity to put out music like an independent artist would. But, for me, it's my job.
Right.
The rest of the world is supposed to be out there working. It's like, I think I have an obligation to my fans to give them music. I mean, that's the family business is music. So it's like, dude, I mean, if you got a restaurant and you got this wonderful clientele, you're not going to offer them food, 6 months out of the year. I mean, it's like, you got to keep the door.
I love the analogy because I'm a big food guy. So I love that. That's actually a really good point. There seems to be like a schedule in Nashville. Okay, the album. Okay, now 2 years, 4 singles. Okay, start working out, release 5 songs from the next album, which
5 of the 9.
5 of the 9 songs. And then you're just like, oh, I waited 4 years for 4. Like, it's like.
No,
like,
dude, let me tell you, what pisses me off is when I'm excited about an album and then I hear the word EP. Right. I'm like, let me tell you something. You've got all the money in the world at the tips of your fingers. You've got the greatest songwriters at the tips of your fingers, and you can only come up with 4 songs over the span of 3 years.
Is that a money grab to kind of like buy yourself time to get some money in, and then they take those songs, right, and they put it on the album, which fans get super annoyed about because it's like,
oh yeah, I think it's, I definitely think there's the business side of things where, you probably make some quick cash. And obviously, when we used to put out an album, I mean, that first month we would just bank, right? I mean, because we're selling actual albums, and it was simple math. It's like, wow, we just sold 50,000 albums in whatever span of time, and you do the math, it's like 50,000 times whatever you're making per record, and it's like, bam. Now, with streaming and everything, it's just a different game, and you've got to adjust your business model. I mean, you can cry about it all you want. I mean, I hear people crying about it all the time, but for me, I just make adjustments. It's like with this last record I made, I didn't make it in Nashville. I made this album in Texas. I wrote all the songs, and this album probably cost me easily a quarter of what a Nashville album would cost a guy. And there's no doubt, like, there's a lot of things about Nashville that I don't like, but there's also a lot of things about Nashville that I love. Man, I love the songwriters. I love the musicians. I love the studios. I love the history. But, I mean, I think a lot of times, those major record labels, they are kind of a necessary evil for a lot of artists. And I think, back in the day, like I used to maybe make little comments about certain like major label pop artists. But as I've kind of grown up a little, and when I say grown up a little, just a little, not too much. I'm still very immature and irresponsible. But what I try to respect the fact is that, you know what, like, for instance, let's just say Luke Bryan. I got to play a couple of shows with Luke Bryan years ago.
What?
He was a super nice dude.
No, he is really nice actually. But like, what show was that? Because that must have been some festival or something, right?
No, he actually opened for me. Yeah, he opened for me at a show at the Texas Hall of Fame in College Station.
Okay, that makes sense.
We actually made T-shirts, and it's like Aaron Watson, and real little below me, it's like Luke Bryan.
I love that.
And then one time, then he opened for us at a show in Waco, and
how long ago was this?
Oh God, like 2009 maybe.
Okay, yeah.
And so, you know, and
he was pretty country. His first record was pretty not bad. Like, it was country.
Yeah, it was very country. And then, you know, as I got on to hear, you know, I know people that know him, and they're always just raving about how great of a guy he is. And you hear about his story and the way he was raised and all the things he's been through. And the same thing for Thomas Rhett. I've been around Thomas a few times, just a gentleman, you know, a great human being. And while I may not really dig his music, I dig him as a human, right? Yeah. And he has a beautiful family. I love seeing, pictures of his wife and his kiddos, and just
right.
And I think what I was saying is, as I've grown up a little, I realized that, you know what, that I don't want to run down another man's family business, right? So I focus on my brand and my music and my fans. And I mean, I definitely, here's the deal. If you attack me and you attack my music or my family, I'll get up in your face. I didn't get to where I'm at today by backing down. I mean, it's kind of like the last 10 years, every country album we put out has charted top 10 on country Billboard. I mean, we've had #1 records, top 10 singles. We've done all this independently, which is a testament to our fans, but I've been fiercely loyal to those fans. And, and I think every artist there needs to be that fight in the dog. I mean, you're out there, I mean, I'll tell you this right now. I've opened a show for Thomas Rhett, and we were somewhere in Wyoming. And of course, my kind of music goes over really well in Wyoming, right? I mean, I'm singing to a bunch of cowboys. And I remember Thomas kind of confiding in me. First of all, he asked me, he said, "Hey man, can you really make a good living playing shows in Texas and never doing anything else?" And I was like, "Absolutely." I was like, "Bro, every CD I sell tonight, all $15 goes straight into my pocket."
Right.
I mean, he would probably have to sell 1,000 CDs to get that much because of the way that business is set up. But then I really appreciated Thomas said, "Man, I don't know if these people are going to like my music." And I was like, "Dude, you just got to get up there and sell it. If you believe in you, they'll believe in you." And that's the thing is, and he did. He had a great show. I mean, it was, and some of that stuff was a lot more country in his first.
Yeah, he can do it when he wants to, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He can. And I think, I think a lot of times it's like, I don't like the New York Yankees. But for a lot of these ball players, they've been working hard their whole life, and they can sign a deal and make millions and millions of dollars and buy their mama a new house. You know, you got to respect you got to understand that. And that's the thing, is like, for me, I focus on my fans. I don't give a flip what mainstream country music radio says about me. And at the same time, there's all these different, you know, outlaw country music websites, platforms, blogs, you know, that they'll trash me saying that I'm more pop country. And my deal is I don't give a flip what they say either. You know, I mean, you've got to focus on your brand. And I'll tell you what, you don't have to have tattoos and a beard and smoke pot all the time to be an outlaw. To be an outlaw, it means you stick to your brand, rain or shine, regardless of what anyone says, you know, and that's what we've done. And it's worked out good for us. And I'll give you a good example. I mean, tonight I'm playing this place in Granger, Texas called the Cotton Club. And I have probably not played here since 2008. And it's sold out. It's a small place. And I know a lot of artists probably wouldn't want to play here. It's a small place, right? I could say that I feel like maybe I'm getting demoted, right, by playing this small place. But that's not how I look at things. I look at it as, oh man, what a blessing that I have a stage to play my music on tonight, and I can pay for the band, you know, take care of their families. So it's all about perspective.
That was great. Yeah, well said.
Well, and I think too, like, you kind of have this underdog mentality, and that was, you know, your 2015 album, the title of it, which was the first independent country album to debut at #1 on the Billboard album charts, right?
Yeah, buddy.
Well, and for me, I would say too, because that was right around the time Whiskey Riff got started.
Yeah.
That was an album that kind of changed, I would say, my perspective a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think when we were getting started, we were kind of like, all right, well, this is the country music news. You know, like Luke Bryan has an album, Thomas Rhett has an album, Kelsey Ballerini has an album. Here's the news. And then when you came out and just like crushed it, we were like, you know what? Like, if I don't like that news, I don't need to share it, you know?
Yeah.
If I like Aaron Watson's, you know, he's doing it by himself. He can do it his own way, and he's having traction. I just feel like that album really kind of changed my perspective a lot, in just the way I approach kind of what me and Steve even do.
Yeah.
As far as like, oh, we don't have to share just the country music news.
It's like a light bulb was like, oh my God. It was like,
you can do it your own way.
Yeah. And we did it our own way. And the labels don't like us a lot because we have opinions. And like, if anybody has an opinion in Nashville, people get pissed off because it's this kumbaya bullshit of like, oh, we're all like, and I'm like, no, people are fake as fuck a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, you know, with me, it's kind of like, you know, I have a decade of record labels telling me that I don't have what it takes, you know, and you can take those as fighting words, or you can let that, you know, fuel your fire.
Yeah.
And I think you guys having your own opinions, it makes you unique, because honestly, it's like, do you really need does there need to be another outlet just regurgitating what the mainstream media wants you to tell? I mean, it's like, you know, it's great.
Thank you.
But what you're also doing is you're opening up so much opportunity for independent artists like me. Like somehow we snuck in the back door of mainstream country music radio. We grabbed a top 10, couple of top 40s. By the time they figured out we were there, we had already robbed the bank and we were long gone. And of course, they kind of shut the door on us and well, you could say I got ousted from mainstream radio. I mean,
why?
I don't know. I guess because I'm not on a label. Like we literally, I program directors that I've known for years, right? That are friends of mine. They're like, hey man, your new single, it's testing well. And then a month later, I'm like, why aren't y'all playing it? He's like, man, I literally can't. I've gotten calls from corporate that we can't play you. And it's because it's just politics and they can't play me because I'm not on a label. And I think once these major labels became aware that this independent artist was having traction, I mean, they'll never admit it, but that's a threat to their business. That's a threat to their livelihood, because if independent artists are suddenly able to get played on mainstream top 40 radio, that brings so much more competition to their artists that they've signed, they spent millions of dollars on. So from a businessman's perspective, I get it. I understand that.
Real quick, Wes, if you don't mind. I saw you were with Cody Johnson. You posted a photo on your Instagram at Cheyenne Frontier Days, I believe. And he obviously went to a label, but we had him on not that long ago, and he actually had a funny quote where they said was a Deer Rodeo, Wes, right?
Yeah, Deer Rodeo.
I don't know if it was the Reba version or not, but like they told basically he got word it was too rodeo for radio was his quote that somebody told him, and that's why they wouldn't play it. I'm like, it's a country song. It's like a real good country song.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and when they tested with their like focus groups and whatever bullshit they test songs on, that the idea of roping and riding and bull riding and stuff like that reminded people of cruelty to animals, and that's why they didn't want to play the song.
So here's the deal. That's the number one reason why I have never signed a record deal.
Have you been asked? That was what I was going to ask. Have you been approached by any of the major labels ever?
Well, it's kind of one of those deals. By the time anyone showed any interest in me, I had already charted an album #1 independently. And then Vaquero, the Vaquero record actually was the #1 selling album when it came out. And, you know, it got the #2 spot on the country Billboard chart, because I don't think it had as many streams. You know, I think it was it Lady Antebellum or Little Big Town that had that Taylor Swift song, Better Man, or I don't know.
Little Big Town.
Little Big Town. It was that band had that song, and, you know, it was a huge hit for them. But for me, I was kind of like, that's not true love. They didn't believe in my music. They just saw the numbers like, hey, this guy sold 40,000 records this week independently. We could sign him, and he sells enough records that we could probably just use him to, you know, make sure we can afford our payroll. I mean, I didn't want to be that guy. And to be honest with you, I'd already talked so much smack about not signing a deal at that point that, you know, people ask me, would you sign a deal now? And I'm like,
for what?
I'm a businessman. If somebody came to me and was like, dude, we love you. You can do whatever you want. We'll give you stupid amounts of money. I mean, I'm a businessman. I got to where I'm at today because I'm a businessman. You know, I'm a businessman first and then a songwriter second. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I have to be able.
You Texas guys have that. I've noticed. Yeah.
I have been able to take care of my band throughout the entire pandemic. I mean, this would probably offend people and they would call me a super spreader, but I will tell you this, I'm a biology major. So I understand that I do wear a mask when it's required, and I've had the vaccine. I'm not this extremist, but I'll tell you, I do understand from my degree that catching that virus with a mask is like trying to catch a BB in a tennis racket. And I don't get into all that stuff, but I stayed at home for 4 or 5 months. And then finally I was like, no, my wife's going to kill me before this virus kills me. And I got on Instagram and I made a video. I was like, hey guys, you know, we want to be safe, but we're ready to play some shows. So if you've got, you know, birthdays, bar mitzvahs, quinceañeras, barbecues, weddings, wedding anniversaries, I will literally show up to your house. You know,
is the private show game fun? Because we had we had Colby Cooper talking about it, and some other, and Parker McCollum I think even mentioned something about it once. And is it fun playing private gigs?
If those guys say it's fun,
I don't think they said it was fun, right?
No, I'm asking you.
if Parker or Colby said they were fun, it's probably because they were playing at a lake house and there were girls in bikinis. They're not fun compared to playing, you know,
a real
festivals.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you know, when you know that these people are putting you to work, helping you pay for your band and your band's family, you give them a fun show. It's not, you know, but I've played some privates before that I was like, hey, that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know what else? I have fun sitting in my office or on the back porch at the house writing songs. So when you're playing music, let's just be honest, man, it's hard for me to listen to artists talk about how hard it is. I'm like, wah. You know, you're playing music for a living.
Right. Dude, it's such a great perspective too. And you talk about songwriting, and I wanted to ask you, because I had this in my notes. This isn't a gimmick. So my dog, my German Shepherd, right here sleeping, he's worn this since we adopted him. This red bandana, it's all broken in. So when you came out with that album in 2019, I love the album, but you wrote every song on the album by yourself, right?
Yes.
Talking about songwriting, is that all you do? You go to the back porch, you go to the house, you kind of, kids go to bed, or you write, or what's that process like? Do you pour a glass of whiskey, or how do you kind of go about it?
I love writing in the morning. I love writing in the evenings. Throughout my day, ideas will hit me, and I'll write them down on paper or on my phone, or a melody will hit me and I'll sing it into the little recorder in my phone. And that's, you know, for me, like you bring up Red Bandana, for me, when you think about it, when you have a #1 album with the Underdog nationwide, I mean, the last thing you should do is put out an album called Vaquero with a Texas flag in the background, because that's a very regional thing. But for me, it was, I had to do that to show my fans that, I'm not selling out on y'all. You know, I'm thankful that we've had this success, you know, globally, but this is me. And then when Vaquero had all that success, we put out Red Bandana, and the album starts off with a song called The Ghost of Guy Clark, which is a singer-songwriter song.
I love that. Yeah.
And it was important to me that I kind of, instead of going that direction, went the other direction. And, you know, it wasn't a failure of an album. It didn't do what Vaquero did, but dude, you can't hit a home run every time, you know, I mean, but you can sure enough keep on swinging. So I just kind of keep swinging.
That's what I love. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me too, that was, I don't know, maybe one of your best albums, in my opinion.
Dude, thanks, man. I felt like, I think I've said this a lot. One of the albums that I kind of was leaning on is, I've always loved the White Album from the Beatles. I've always loved the diversity of music.
Like, dude, I love waltzes. I love shuffles. I love a country song. Country music has my heart. But dude, sometimes I want to rock. And you know what? If my daughter is asking, if my little girl is like, Daddy, teach me how to write a pop song, I'm gonna do it. I mean, I could write you a rap if I wanted to. Now, I don't want to sing that on stage every night, but man, I write what I want to write. And I won't be put in a box. And we put some kind of crazy stuff at the end of the album.
You get fun. Rap. I don't want to say you rap, but there's some songs that you've done that you're talking fast.
Yeah.
My kids,
music is low.
My kid's like 16 months old. My son, when he loves country music, his favorite song is Chattahoochee Belle and Jackson. He starts bobbing.
Yeah.
But I was playing your album yesterday. We had a couple of friends stop by, and he's vibing on Aaron Watson. He loves it.
Heck yeah.
So it's like those like upbeat ones are perfect for the kids. Like, I'll say that.
And the thing about it is when you're putting out music all the time, it's like you got to throw some other flavors in there. Yeah. You got to make people go, oh, that's different. And that's kind of fun. And you can't put out the same record for 20 years in a row.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just kind of, for me as a writer, I kind of like I don't put up any walls. I just like let it go where it wants to go. And I'll tell you, I'm working on a new album right now, and we're going to be putting out a record this summer. It's called Unwanted Man. And but then I'm going in the studio in January, and I'm recording another album. And man, this is the most country stuff I've ever written.
Really?
And I'll tell you, I got to be careful with my daughter coming in there asking me to write pop songs. I'm like,
she's really asking that.
Oh, she's legit asking that.
She wants to be Olivia Rodrigo.
Oh, I know everything about Olivia Rodrigo. I mean, I know this. Remember this, because you got a baby girl. Make sure that you pick the clean versions. These little Disney pop singers, they like dropping F-bombs. And you're like swimming in the pool with your little girl, and you're like, oh, and then you're like,
what the hell?
I put on Bitch by Whiskey Myers. My wife didn't know she's like, at the beginning, she's like, oh, this is good. And then I was and I'm kind of like side-eyeing her until the chorus hits. She's like, no, turn this up.
She's like,
Wheeler Walker. I always get her to. I'm like, oh, this is a good one. And it's like, yeah, I'm like, just listen. And then it's like, she's like, turn it. But Wes,
Mama doesn't do Wheeler.
Yeah. Like my kid's, he's a little old enough to, he can walk around and dance. And Wes is just, he has a little more time now to plan for the.
Yeah. I'm still trying to get mom into all the right things, we just watched Talladega Nights for the first time in her entire life 2 days ago.
Is she a Chicago girl?
Yeah, she's a Chicago suburb kind of yuppie girl from the burbs. From the burbs.
Yeah, burbs. We'll just give her a little time, give her a little.
What was cool is that American Aquarium came out with that covers album, that 90s covers album, and she was like, she loves it. She thinks it's absolutely amazing, but it kind of woke her up to some of the 90s stuff.
Yeah.
And then now she's listening to, Sammy Kershaw and Sawyer, and it was just kind of a really cool, I like covers. I just think you covered John Mayer, actually, didn't you? Right? That was
that was a great cover.
I think we'll get to that in a second, but covers are cool and I like them, but I sometimes think I underestimate what they can do for people who don't know where they came from, and then you go back into that catalog, and I think we kind of got her into some of the 90s stuff.
That's good.
So she's there, she's getting there, and then now we have a few years to kind of work.
Well, my kid's also obsessed with Down at the Twist and Shout because of that album,
right?
which is a forgotten 90s jam that people like don't play enough.
But yeah, you covered John Mayer and Underdog. Like, how did that come about? Because that's kind of an out of left field one. You were talking about changing it up. And
yeah, what's crazy is that we were in the studio and we were needing another up-tempo song. And the one that I had written, it just did not materialize. You know, I mean, it happens. I feel like when I go in the studio, 1 out of every 5 or 6 songs kind of just doesn't pop, you know, like it's like, you know, it's okay. Sometimes we'll recut it. And I don't even remember what the song was, but it just didn't happen. And every once in a while, if I hear a song that I like, I'll put a little star by it and be like, you know, I'd cover that song if I ever needed one. And that song, Wildfire by Mayer, it had a very Bob Wills intro. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba-ba. You know, it's almost like Bob Wills, roly-poly, daddy's little fatty, hungry every minute of the day. Roly-poly, gnawing on a biscuit. You know, it's like ba-da-ba-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba-ba. So when I heard Mayer's version, I thought, oh, dang, dude, if we twinned up that guitar with some fiddle, and then we take out the bridge where he must have been smoking something, because I don't know what he's talking about it. There's a bridge that Mayer does on his version. Magpie, he says something crazy. I don't even know what he's talking about.
That was when he had vocal cord surgery and he moved out to Montana and bought a poncho and just started like chilling in the woods.
Yeah, he did that bridge, and I was like, what? And we actually, what's really funny is we did another song one time by Mayer, The Heart of Life.
Okay, yeah.
And dude, Mayer will straight up do he will write some very, very country songs. Yeah. Now once he sings them, you know, it kind of, that goes out the window. But when you break that song down, the bones of it, man, I mean, he's obviously John Mayer and everybody loves him. But he's got some good stuff. And that's just me, dude. I love everything. I love everything. But
who else do you love? Like, do you love anybody like music, maybe mainstream country, maybe Texas country? Who are some of these people that you currently are like, damn, I love what they're doing?
You know, I think like the Texas guys, you know, I'm probably a little biased because I've played shows with them, but you know, obviously, like, you know, really proud of Cody. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people think Cody's new, and I'm like, Cody's not new.
All right.
Well, he got the sellout. He got the sellout comment when he signed the label, and he's like, you know, it's like it always happens, right? When somebody kind of like,
yeah,
you know, it's like, which drives me crazy. Like they call Luke Combs a sellout because he just like has fans, and I'm like, like, isn't this better than the shit we had in 2014? Come on, people. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't say for me, gosh, you know, and I don't know Cody's, I've known Cody for a long time, and I don't know his business. I don't know the kind of deal he signed. You know, God, they might have given him freaking stock in the record label company. But for me, you know, I think even if Cody hadn't signed a record deal, I mean, I honestly think if Cody hadn't signed a record deal, he'd probably be worth 10 times more, because I think his talent was going to get him there alone. And I know that when I played shows with Cody early on, I was like, wow, this kid's legit. And so whether he signs a deal or doesn't sign a deal, I think Cody is going to get there. I think music is his life. I think he's a lifer, you know. Same thing for Randall King. You know,
we love Randall, yeah.
I love Randall.
And Cody.
I mean, Randall's from Amarillo, where I grew up.
I played a ton of shows with Randall. So
check his Instagram bio when you get a chance.
okay.
I think Wes's quote is remind me, Wes. What was the quote? The
I don't even.
shit.
Oh,
He goes countrier
than cow shit.
And then he says countrier than cow shit in quotes, and he tags us as like, because we wrote it in an article.
Hey, that's a great quote. That should be on a t-shirt.
Right.
There we go. I just feel like there's certain guys who remind me of like George Strait, and that, like, when I think of country music, I think George Strait. And there are certain guys that remind me of George Strait, and like Randall is one of them. And
yeah, Randall, I'll tell you this too. Randall's matured. I think he's matured, like, vocally as an artist. I mean, I don't know if he's matured
as a person.
And now he probably has. I've noticed at the last couple of shows he and I have played together, he's got some real cute girl with him, and that will tend to make a guy mature.
Okay. Yep.
That's not always. That's more that's the old bit in the mouth. Randall's. She's got him on the short leash is probably what's happening. But it seems like in the last year or so, when I hear him sing a song, it kind of stops me in my tracks. Whereas, 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, man, he's good. But now when I hear him, I'm like, dang, that boy is singing.
Right.
And, getting that, he's starting to channel his inner Keith Whitley, Vern Gosdin.
Yeah.
Where I think, man, the longer he does this, the better he's going to get. And it's the same for all of us, I mean, good gosh, Willie Nelson didn't make it until he was in his 40s.
Right.
So for me, I'll tell you right now, like the new stuff I'm working on now, it's like, I'm a little, when I get a little bit pissed off and competitive, that's when I do my best stuff. And I'm right there right now,
I love it.
It's like so I'll tell you about the Unwanted Man album that comes out this summer. It was all songs that I wrote during the quarantine. I wrote 10. I picked them. It's really the first time that I was like, there's no theme. These are my songs. Literally when the whole band basically got COVID in August. So we took 2 weeks off. I had been exposed or whatever. So I just stayed at the house. My family was out of town except for my oldest son, Jake. And I was like, bro, we got to take a picture of me for my album cover. I was like, so I hung a black bedspread sheet, a black bedspread sheet.
Old school.
That I got off the bus. I hung it on the back of the old refrigerator that we have in the garage.
The best beers come from those fridges, by the way.
That's right. And then I set Jake's little drummer chair that he plays the drums, that little drum chair.
Yeah.
And Jake took pictures of me. It was like 105 in the garage. I took that picture. The album's called Unwanted Man. So I took that picture and I basically scratched out my eyes.
That's cool.
And that's the cover.
I can see it.
We're like, dude, why would you scratch out your eyes?
People are like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I'm like, because it's kind of messed up.
It doesn't
make sense.
It's like a twisted Walgreens passport photo shoot.
Yeah, I defaced my own face, man.
You're getting into that Kanye levels of creative genius.
Hearing you say this summer though kind of like bums me out. You mean obviously summer of 2022.
Yeah.
So we got about a year to go. Are you hoping the beginning of summer or?
It's beginning of summer. We got about 9 months, but we put out a song, this last week. We're going to be putting out other songs
we're gonna be feeding the fire along the way. I'm ready to put it out right now, but what sucks is because of how streaming is now. If I put that album out right now, I can't put out any singles here in a couple of months because they then consider those already released. So it kind of sucks, but dude, the second that sucker comes out, I mean, within a couple of months of that, I'll be putting out another single from another album. I mean, like, I'm rocking and rolling, man. I'm going for the jugular of mainstream country music here in the future. So I'm excited.
That's a great quote. We gotta write an article with that, just that headline.
Well, the thing about it is that, and this sounds a little bit diva-ish, like a diva, me saying this, but there's several of these, mainstream country music associations. And anytime an artist has a birthday, they'll wish them happy birthday. And they'll have artists that, like in September, they'll have, all the artists that have birthdays in September. And there'll be songwriters and producers and all kinds of people. And I'm actually a member of both of these associations. I've played shows for them for free. For the last 10 years, we've had albums chart nationwide. I've been to the award shows. Now, have I ever been nominated? No. Now, you would think if a guy came out with the first album in the history of country music to chart #1 independently, you would think that would get something, like at least, a
few rounds into the voting.
I mean, at least get on the ballot.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't even make a ballot. Vaquero was I think it was the 15th most successful release in 2017. Had 2 top 40s, a top 10, didn't even make a ballot. Now, I'm not bitter. I don't revolve my business around that. But when I'm doing things for these people and they can't even wish me happy birthday, I'm like, you can't be forgetting a girl's birthday. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
We went to the CMA Awards once. I think we went one time. Me and Steven, we were just like, did the red carpet, suited up, and then within 20 minutes, we were like, "Fuck, are we doing here?"
We were at Rippy's at the corner within 20 minutes.
We left Bridgestone Arena
doing shots. Like, we were so miserable. We were like, get us the hell out of here.
Well, I probably was right there in the same room with you, because I'm going to tell you right now. I mean, I've had some good memories, whether it's the CMAs or the ACMs and seeing friends. And, I root for all the artists. That's the thing with me is that, man, when somebody wins an award, I feel nothing but love for them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the world they're in. And I do enjoy, I don't know. I just kind of enjoy when I'm there. I enjoy seeing the reactions of people. I mean, when someone wins some big award and the artist gets up and his wife's crying, those are real reactions. And I'm like, man, that's really neat. That's cool for them.
Awards mean nothing though, in some way. I don't want to say it means nothing, but
you kind of spelled it out in the terms of you had a top 15 record and didn't even get on the ballot. So what is it?
Chris
really
Stapleton,
mean?
like that whole Chris Stapleton thing, like now he's nominated a lot, but we've talked about
it took the Grammys. Stapleton and Casey Musgraves, they had to freaking win a Grammy before the country music world would acknowledge them.
Yeah. And it was like Nashville knew Stapleton was great for years, and then the Justin Timberlake duet, they were like, "Oh, it's like no, like
we can't let him on. We can't let him on stage without Justin Timberlake at the Country Music Awards." Who now has a bar across the street from the goddamn stadium where they had the awards.
But the thing is that country music has done that for a long time, because they're not the thing about it is major labels, they're not about heart and soul. They're about money, money, money. Hits, hits, hits. Tickets, tickets, tickets. They're not about heart and soul. Now, I don't care whoever the president of that label is, they'll tell you they're about heart and soul. He's full of crap, or she's full of crap, whoever that may be. At the end of the day, they're about making money, because that's their job. They're running a business, and I get that.
They invest in artists as like a stock to get a return, essentially.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I have shared the stage with artists. Like for instance, I've played shows with everybody, and there's 9 out of 10 of those major label artists, I'm kind of like, But then I did a song swap with Charlie Worsham.
Oh yeah.
Dude, and he just smoked me on stage.
We just had him on.
Yeah.
When it was my turn to play, I just wanted to go, dude, let me just go get you another drink. You just keep playing.
He's so good. And such a sweet guy.
That guy was so good. That guy was hands down better than 9 out of 10 guys that I've seen from Nashville. And why does he not get the opportunity? I mean,
we've talked about him forever, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, he's so good. I'll tell you though, one of my coolest stories, it wasn't at the CMAs, it was at the ACMs.
Vegas?
In Vegas.
Yeah.
And my wife flew out there with me. And man, I kind of got treated like a punk on the red carpet, right? And it was a little like, I don't want to, here's the deal. If it was just me by myself, I wouldn't care. But kind of getting treated like that with my wife there, like, I waited in line to talk to one media outlet, and then they let a couple of bigger artists cut in front of me. And then when I got up there, something happened and they didn't want to talk to me. And I was like, I've been standing here for 20 minutes. At least pretend. Don't push the record button. Just at least ask me what my favorite color is. Yeah. And then something was messed up with my tickets. And I'm literally sitting in the nosebleed section, which I don't care. But we're sitting back there. And right before the show starts, I look to my left, and Keith Urban is walking out with a guy holding a microphone. And he started off the show singing in the crowd. He walks right in front of me. He's tuning his guitar. He's literally within a couple of feet of me. And he's tuning his guitar. And he looks at me. And he goes, "Hey, Aaron, I'm a big fan of what you do." And he shakes my hand right in front of my wife. And she goes, "Oh my word." And she goes, so of course, because I'm an idiot, she goes, "Keith Urban knows who you are." And I said, "Baby, look around this room. They all know, shut up." Of course I had to make it. But, that was a neat moment for me, because I was like, hey, this guy is, Keith Urban can either be as pop as Michael Jackson or as country as George Jones.
Yeah.
Keith is honestly, he's bigger than a genre, right? He's just
talented, dude, super talented. Yeah.
He's so talented. But for me, I thought, you know what? That was pretty neat. That was pretty cool that he would take the time right before his performance to tell me he's a fan of me and shake my hand. And I was like, that was kind of neat. And, Am I a super fan? I'm not. But you know what? That's kindness. So I try hard to keep an open mind, but I am really, man, I'm really protective of country music. Y'all brought up Luke Combs earlier, and it's been cool to see Luke's success. He opened 3 or 4 shows for me, and then
Everyone's
he went on
open
that
for you, man.
Yeah, that's
what?
awesome.
Everyone's open for you.
Yeah, because I've been doing it for 20 years, man. It's like, oh yeah, you know, dude. I mean, guess who took Midland out for the first time?
Right.
Me.
Yeah.
This guy. I mean, and first of all, I'm kind of like, I love those boys.
Yeah.
When are they gonna take me out? When are they gonna ask me on a date? You know, a relationship requires 2, give and take. Come on.
Right.
Bryan, Luke Combs, and Midland. I asked y'all on dates, but you guys, you know what I'm saying? Come on.
Would you do that though? Like, would you go like Luke Bryan's music has gotten so like poppy? I mean, he throws in some good ballads and stuff, but is that something that would excite you to like go open for a guy that's like hardcore pop country, but knowing your music would be out there in front of like new fans?
Like, what would your fans say too? Like, you kind of got to weigh that against the opportunity.
I'm sure you weigh that, right?
Oh, first of all, I'd get on that Luke Bryan stage and kick those fans right in the face.
Yeah.
And I'd wave a Texas flag all over that stage. And I would declare that my stage for the moment. I mean, my deal is that, dude, if you're an outlaw, then that means, dude, you've gone rogue, right? And you're not going to be controlled or dictated by anybody or anything.
Set times be damned.
Yeah. Oh, I've busted a few set times in my day.
Like Eric Church on the Rascal Flatts tour.
That was awesome. And that's another deal. Like, I mean, that's another great example of a guy that, like, Eric Church will put out something that's kind of poppy like, but it's original, it's his brand, and it's what he does.
I mean, his new album's got songs that sound like Queen on there, or like Meatloaf.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, I don't know. I like it. I like it's called art. It's called art. And I think that's the one thing that I think sometimes country music fans, me included, we need to respect the art. If an artist decides to paint something a little different, you don't need to say he's selling out.
Right.
I mean, you need to understand that just maybe that is, you know, it's kind of like, dude, some of this stuff on my new album coming out, Unwanted Man, is kind of dark. Well, just respect the fact that maybe I wasn't feeling so chipper, you know. I didn't want to paint rainbows and butterflies. Maybe why I wanted to paint thunder and lightning, you know. So you have to remember it's art. I think country music is the genre of music that limits an artist. A lot of times it's like, oh, these are the parameters that you must write your music within. You know, don't do this. Don't sing in falsetto. Don't do that. Don't do that. You know, it needs to go verse, chorus, turnaround, verse, chorus, solo, bridge, chorus, tag, outro, under 3 minutes. You know, I mean, dude, I mean, look at the diversity of some of these pop artists. It's like, whoa, they'll put out something that sounds like country, and then they'll put out something that sounds like, I mean, you know, I mean, look at listen to a Post Malone record.
Oh yeah, our fans love Post Malone.
Yeah. Yeah.
He can sing some country too.
He's more country than most of these country guys are.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have said that. And I think if he wants to do an album, he can probably fucking crush it.
Oh, he'd destroy it. I think it'd be like, you know, I don't know. I mean, I think everything he does is catchy.
He respects the genre, dude. Like how you talk about it's in your heart. Like I've heard him talk, whether it was on like, I think maybe on Rogan he mentioned it, but he loves the genre and the old music that kind of made country what it is. So that's cool. Like I think people welcome that. I think people hate when people are like, I don't want to say taking advantage, but like there's so many weird songs that'll be like, oh, it's like there's like arguments about what's country, what's not. And it's just kind of like, you kind of just know, like, is this a country song or a pop song or I don't know. And I think that guy all convoluted in like 2015 to recently, but.
Well, with Post too, you look at when he was on McConaughey's thing, he performed Sturgill Simpson's "You Can Have the Crown" and a really old Brad Paisley cut, and it's like, okay. Like that's all you need to know about where he lands on country music.
Yeah, that's cool. I thought that was really cool. And you know, we live in such a sensitive day and age that if somebody claims to be a country artist, you have to go, okay, I guess so. But for me, I mean, should I put out the most country sounding record ever and claim that it's rap? I mean, technically, wouldn't they have to respect that? Like, I'm like, well, that's my version of rap. I mean, because that's kind of the day and age we live in. I mean, there's some country stuff out there. I'm listening to it and I'm like, hey, this is a great song. But there's no way in heck this is a country song. This song is, you know, we were just talking about my daughter's love for Olivia Rodrigo. I'm like, Olivia is more country than this song. So, I mean, you just live in a day and age where it's like, oh, well, they identify as a country artist, you know?
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe I need to start identifying as a rapper. I can rap, you know?
You guys, what song is that I'm blanking on?
I'll give you, hey, your bark was, but your bike
is it Freight Train?
Freight Train was the one that I was thinking of. That's pretty fast.
Yeah, but that's so Freight Train's from my Snoop Dogg roots, from the Chronic album.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg's the best, right?
A scholar of music.
Snoop Dogg likes country music too.
Hey, listen to these lyrics. Your bark was loud, but your bite wasn't vicious. And the rhymes you was kicking was quite bootylicious. You get what doggy dog? Oh, is he crazy? With your mama and your daddy hollering, baby. I don't know what that means, but it's lyrical.
That's amazing. And the perfect way to end the podcast. And we'll stay on and chat about a few other things. But Aaron, that was awesome. Great rap.
You boys, anything. I'm a fan. I love what y'all do. What you guys probably don't understand is you move the needle for independent artists like me. You share our brand of music with a crowd that would never know about us. So, you know, those major label artists, I know they appreciate y'all too, but the impact that you have for us guys that don't get that kind of love that the rich kids get, man, dude, thank you so much.
That's our favorite. That's our, like, we use that phrase more than anything probably. And hearing you say it, move the needle, is always the phrase we use here. And we've heard that from a few people like yourself that we really appreciate. Like Joshua Ray Walker was on recently and he said the same thing.
He's great.
Yeah, he's great. So like, love that you said that. I appreciate the hell out of it. And
absolutely.
New album next summer, new song, Crash Landing. Aaron,
yes,
thank
sir.
you so much, dude.
Hey, thanks, boys.
Thank you.
Cheers.